Just in case you thought I faded away, nope, I am still here. This is Indian Motorcycle Radio, and I'm your host, Reverend Kenn Blanchard. This week, we got a short conversation with a good friend, a new friend, Michael Barrera, and a little friendly update to what's going on in my life so that you know why it's been so long a hiatus between podcast episodes. All this and more coming up next.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
What's up, good people? It's your friend and your brother from another mother, the Reverend Kenn Blanchard, and I got a chance to put on some cold weather gear and test out how good was my stuff just this past weekend as I was trying to clear my head from all the stuff that's going on in my life. I am hoping that things are better wherever you are. This week we got a special guest. Mike is on the line and he's going to just share a little bit about his life. Another Indian motorcycle rider. And next week I hope to come back and talk about highway riding. There's quite a few young motorcyclists, new motorcyclists that don't particularly care for the highway. I want to give some tips. As always on this show, it's more about the motorcycle, not necessarily about Indian, even though we love our bikes. Am I right about it? So please come back, subscribe again, listen again, tell your friend about Indian Motorcycle Radio, and we're talking about highway riding. If you have an experience, if you have a story that you'd like to share also on this podcast, I would love to have you share it here. You can email me at kenn.blanchard@gmail.com, and that's Kenn with two N's, KENN.Blanchard, BLANCHARD@gmail.com. Or you can go to blanchardnetwork.com and hit me up on the links there for Indian Motorcycle Radio. So, how was it riding on Saturday? The temperature was 38 degrees here in the nation's capital, and the sun was partly shining, so it was good enough for me. No rain in the forecast. So I donned my jumpsuit and my cold weather jacket. Everything was good, except for the gloves that I had to swap them back out, and my shoes. I was wearing traditional cowboy boots, which were not good enough for the cold, to tell you the truth. I know I got some Gore-Tex boots in here somewhere, some stuff that I wore during the wintertime when I was a police officer. But them blickies is stiff. That's why I didn't put them on right away, and heavy. But that might be the ticket. And I do think I do have some lighter weight Gore-Tex boots that were from when I was a security guard. Speaking of boots, I think I got shoes older than some people. Dang. Anybody else like that? I am feeling my age this week. Yeah, I am. Was in the dry cleaners, and I was talking to the clerk behind the desk, and she was saying, I'm from San Salvador. And I said, hey, I remember I was there. She says, when were you there? And I told her. She says, oh, yeah, I was 11. And I thought, yeah, let's take your old butt on outside. You're getting to be like them dudes up in the balcony of the Muppet Show. But I'm still riding, though.
Is he a bouncing baby boy?
I don't know, but we're high enough up to find out.
Hey, are you speaking Hawaiian?
No, I bit my tongue.
So why was I out riding in 38 degree weather? Well, because my bike had been sitting in the garage for a minute. And that's a crime. I did it to my Harley, not doing it to this bike right now. The Indian Challenger was crying to get outside. So we cranked it up and got down the street, and it was cold enough that the low temperature gauge was on the tires. You know, when you don't have enough air pressure because when your tires cool, pressure gets lower. Yeah. The last time I rode, I actually added some air. So I was thinking, I think it's just a temperature change. I'm going to ride for a minute, and if they don't warm up, then I'm going to rush back home or stop at a gas station and do the thing because tire pressure is important, y'all. And I was correct. It stabilized after a while. After they warmed up a little bit, after I warmed up a little bit, I rode down half hour to an IHOP, had me a nice breakfast, and continued to ride. Stopped in a couple of pawn shops, looking for just junk I don't need. Used my Bluetooth device on my helmet, which actually is working. Had a preacher call me, and that dude was chattering. But the good news is, it was a hands-free operation. I let the joker talk. He could hear me when I did my uh-huhs and yes sirs, and the ride was good. I have the Sedisi modular helmet, and hopefully I said that right. Sedicii, Secidi, yeah. Modular with the Bluetooth telephone thing works pretty good. First time I ever had a call on it. I highly recommend it. What else did I do? Well, actually, after I rode for a couple of hours, no particular place to go, just doing what we do. I had a good day. It made me reminded me why I like to ride. Also reminded me of when I started riding in 1977, going to high school on my Honda 350. And I didn't have the cool Gore-Tex stuff that I have now. I don't even think Gore-Tex was out back then. I liked the froze. I didn't warm up until like first period. Homeroom, I was hypothermied out. Not a good look. But I'm old. Didn't I tell you that already? Yeah. Hopefully, you're older than me and you're saying, man, stop with the old stuff. But if you're not, it's okay too. I'm just trying to love and dig the skin I'm in. And now, without further ado, let's talk to Michael. Brother Michael, welcome to Indian Motorcycle Radio, man. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Reverend.
Man, I'm really appreciate that you said, hey, man, I got something to say. Let me on your show. And I always say this on every episode that you can just call me, just email me. And somebody actually did. I was excited. I was like, I got email.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about a couple of podcasts ago because I'm just now finding out about you. I watched the Indian Rider Radio, found out about you through him, finished his episodes, hopped over to you because at work I listened to you to make the day go by faster. So
cool.
I was getting through and you're like, there's not a lot of younger riders out there. And I would consider myself a younger rider.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 24 years old and I started riding when I was 21.
Okay.
So I've got 3 years underneath me, but I'm still learning. I'm still figuring things out.
Nice. And you got like a helper in the background. Who you got back there?
I got my 2-year-old here and my fiance that just started Bluey for her.
Nice. In a church, when you hear a baby, it means life. Some people are like, oh man, hush that baby up. Heck no. You've been to a church with just all old people? That's like a dying church. So babies in the background, that's some good ambiance to me.
Oh yeah.
Been riding for 3 years. What do you ride?
Well, I started on a 2015 Victory Gunner with the 106.
Mm-hmm.
And then I rode that for a couple years to get my shifting down and all that. Then I traded up to my new 2022 Indian Chief, the newer lineup that they have.
Ooh.
Yeah, it is a Chief Dark Horse with the 116.
Ooh. Nice, man. Nice. Make sure you send me a photo so I can like use it for this episode so folks can see it.
Sounds good.
Where are you in the States?
I am in Northwest Iowa.
Oh, okay. Has it snowed yet?
We did get a little snow a couple weeks ago. It's melted now, but it's just been dropping. The temperature's just been dropping, and it's been windy as all can be.
Yes, winter is coming. So the question of the day is, why do you ride?
I think I ride just to have a little escape. It's my time to be on the bike. It's my time to think. It's something I enjoy, and the fiance is more than willing to let me ride. When I first started riding up, I walked up to her and I was like, hey, I want to get a bike. We talked about it. Just laid down some ground rules, and that's kind of what I have to follow. I have to have a helmet, jacket, gloves, jeans, boots, and I got to let her know when I'm riding, where I'm going to, and let her know when I get to my destination.
It's not bad rules, man. Those will keep you around.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff.
But it's just a nice way to think, nice way to get out and just see what's around you. Like you said earlier, you don't notice the little things when you're in a car. When you're on a bike, then you just see everything that's out there, the smells, the sounds, and the scenery changing.
Yeah. Never been to Iowa. What's really cool about Iowa riding?
Well, Iowa's that different state. We got some flat spots, and then we got some nice rolling hills, and we got some nice curves every now and then. you can go from a flat spot into some hills, and as soon as you get through the hills, you can go through a curve. But if you're in the middle part of Iowa, it's all going to be kind of relatively flat. But once you get up towards South Dakota, Minnesota, and the Nebraska side, then you start getting that hilly side of Iowa.
What's the longest ride you had so far?
I'd say my longest ride would be 3.5 hours.
Yeah, that's pretty
I rode my bike from my place 3.5 hours down to my National Guard unit, and that's basically the longest ride I had.
Ah, all right. How long you been in the Army or National Guard?
I've been in the Iowa Army National Guard for 6 years, and I re-up for another 6.
Hoo-ah. In your note, you mentioned something about your 3-year-old.
Yeah. She's turning 3 next month, and she's just absolutely obsessed with my bike. Every time she's outside and she sees it in the garage, she runs up to it and says, "Daddy's bike." Or she'll say, "My bike, my bike, my bike." I'm like, not yet.
That's
but
cool.
every time cleaning it or wiping it down or getting it ready for ride, I'll sit on the bike and put her in front of me, and she'll just sit there going, "Ooh, ah." I keep making the joke towards the fiance that as soon as she turns 16 and we can get her license, I'm gonna get her a bike, and she keeps saying no.
It's just mama talking. That's all.
Yep.
Too cool right there. She loves your bike already. I think motorcyclists come like that. You always liked it, and then poof, you just kind of make it happen when you can.
You just gravitate towards it because it's cool, it's loud, it's something different. It's not a car. You're always like, I want to get a motorcycle and get older, but either it happens or it doesn't, or it's later in life.
Mm-hmm.
Her being around it, I think, is helping her understand things. Because when I come back from a ride, she wants to run up to me. I'm like, no, you can't. It's warm. You'll get hurt. And I sat down next to her, holding her, like, "Put your hand out. You feel it?" She's like, "Yeah, hot." If you put your hand out and you feel that, don't come near it. And she's starting to learn that.
Yeah.
But it helps because my dad rode for a little while. He got into a near miss, so he stopped riding because it's freaked him out too much.
Mm-hmm.
And then my grandpa rode, then he stopped riding when he hit a deer.
Wow. In Iowa?
Yeah, in Iowa. So I kind of grew up around it. My mom always told me how to get one when I got out of the house, so that's what I did. I got out of the house, got one. But to me, I can't tell her no if she walks up to me and says, "Hey, Dad, I want to get a bike." Because my dad had it, my grandfather had it, so I can't tell her no.
That's cool, though. Yeah, man, that's a good story right there. My father had a Honda Chopper, and he showed up one day because I didn't live with him with these dark green Ray-Bans on, and this emerald green Chopper, and I was hooked after that. I couldn't wait to get a mini bike or to make one, or I was looking for broken down lawnmower motors, and it never happened. But as soon as I turned 16, though, I had a motorcycle.
Nice.
I've been riding ever since. That's all right, though, man.
It is. Riding's just different. It's a nice feeling. Like, I just got her on the back of my bike because I felt comfortable enough after 3 years of learning. And I was telling her, like, this is my first time with passenger. Like, find a spot, hold on, try not to shift. And then we're coming around a corner and she shifts because I leaned too far. I feel my back end kick out. And I'm like, God dang it. I'm going to lose it. But I didn't. I kept it up, and we just had a little talk about it. And she got on one more time after that before the weather got too cold. And it was a lot better ride. For a little bit longer tooting in town.
Yeah, everybody has to learn. At least you learn without hurting. So it's a good thing.
It is.
What would you say for new riders if you just decided that I want to buy a new bike in 2022? What would you do? What would you tell them?
Well, the best thing to do is just sit down and look. That's what I did. I started looking at bikes I wanted to get. I looked at the Indian Scout. I looked at the Victory Octane. I looked at a couple of Victory models. I live in Iowa, as you know, and Spirit Lake's not that far. I toured their plant back in 2016 when Indian and Victory were together, and I just knew that's the style of bike I wanted. So I did my research. I looked at models. I looked at styles. I looked at price ranges. what accessories came with them, and what wasn't with them to other models that I was looking at. But also test ride. That's all you really got to do. You got to test ride and see what bike fits you. Because you could want this bike, and as soon as you get on it, you're like, I don't like it. And then if you have a significant other, talk to them about it. That's what I did. I walked up to her before I bought the bike and said I wanted to get one. Told her my price range, and that's what we agreed on. And then look into safety gear, because you want to know what safety gear is out there and available. Helmets is a big thing. I started off with a Fly Racing Snell helmet, and then I bought a new helmet because my helmet's 3 years old and it's getting too close to the expiration date. And I went with Ruroc just mainly because of how lightweight it is. And I think for a longer ride, that'll be a lot better than what my 10-pound helmet was on my head.
Yeah, you only know by learning.
Yep. And you just got to figure out what's all for you. There's different style helmets. There's different companies. The shapes, sizing is all different through each company.
Yeah.
Same thing with gloves. One medium glove might fit different than another medium glove. And then knowing your ride style. Like if you're going to ride in the summer, what gear you want for summer. If you're spring through fall, maybe have a little mixture of gear.
Did your military base make you have a prerequisite before you can ride on base? They have a class usually.
When we go to Camp Dodge, which is the base, that's the big one for us.
Mm-hmm.
The mandatory rec is helmet, gloves, jacket, pants, and boots that come up over your ankle.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you have to come on base. Our units prefer it if we come like that, but no, there wasn't a real prerequisite for the National Guard to take a class. Like, I watched videos and everything, and my dad helped me on his Honda Shadow 750 on shifting, leaning, turning, and all that in town. And I got pretty good at doing everything in a slow motion, so that way I felt comfortable at the higher speeds when I had to make those sudden movements at a faster speed. But other than that, besides my permit class I took, and then the class I took to take my license, that's the only few classes I have that's available in my area. And I kind of wish I could have more options to learn and grow on my skill.
Yeah, I would recommend on some military personnel, they make you do the anything motorcycle basic foundation, motorcycle safety foundations, basic rider course. They always throw that in there. They have a kind of a thing you have to do per Army regulation. It's not a bad thing. I mean, the more time you get in training, man, it'll come back to you later, even though they try to scare you a lot. You'll see some horrible videos. I never forget the ones that they showed us. But it's stuck in my head, and I've been riding ever since. So look for some training. It's fun, and it'll add to your length of riding.
Yeah, it does. The more you know, the better it is.
Yeah. It's kind of like scuba class. The whole scuba class is how not to die. It's like hardly any fun in that class. Everything is like, if your regulator falls out, if this breaks, if you lose your glasses, if you lose this, it's like, man, this is some scary crap. But then after you learn it, then it's like, oh, okay, now I understand. And it gives you a good thing to talk back to the people who love you and care about you, because they're going to like wonder, are you safe? And as long as you can talk the talk, they'll have more confidence and they'll trust you. But if you give them like the shrug of, I don't know, or then you're making your job harder as a motorcycle rider.
I hear you. Like for right now, me and her are looking for a helmet for her. And she's looking for it because she wants to be safe. Like she doesn't want to leave town not knowing if we wreck, that if I don't have a helmet or she don't have a helmet, one of us is going to be in a worse off shape than the other.
Oh yeah. Shoot. Go with the whole gear, man. Get her some padded, like some Kevlar pants, a nice riding jacket. And then maybe even get her in a safety class, get her training too. She can get her own bike.
She's thought about it, but she doesn't know. She keeps leaning towards wanting to get a mini bike more than anything else.
Hey, whatever. It'll be an entry drug.
Yeah, I hear you.
long as she riding on two, man, I don't care. That's good stuff, Michael. Thank you, man. Anything you want to say good for the order?
I just say find your bike, find something that you're comfortable with, and whatever you choose to ride, make it your own. Don't let the group of people that you're in the Facebook group or people that you hang out with tell you got to do it like this. Nah, just build it how you want it to be in the long run, and you'll be more happy with it because it's to your personality and your character.
That's spoken from a 24-year-old, y'all. See, there's hope for us, old people.
But you guys are there to help us. Like, we wouldn't be here without you guys.
There you go, man. Talk that stuff. Michael Barrera, thank you, man, for being here on Indian Motorcycle Radio.
Thank you for having me.
And that's why I like riding motorcycles, because you get to hang out with cool people of all ages and backgrounds. Go Army. My Marine Corps buddies are going, what did he just say? My next thing, I think I'm planning to get a tour pack for the back of my Challenger, and maybe even, I don't even know what else. Oh, some lights. Yeah, I want to jazz it up with some lights somewhere. Definitely for the ground in the front, because it's dark on the roads that I ride, the country roads. And I think that's it for right now. Oh, yeah, I might actually find some. If I can find some cool-looking boots, that might be a thing. All right, in this next piece, let me just share with you what's happening with me personally. Not that you have to care, but if you stuck around this long, you might actually like me. So I want to make sure my friends know what's up and why the podcast was a little slow. And thank you for not dogging me for my stumbling and stuttering earlier. But, man, I got a lot going on in my head, as you will soon hear. At the time of this recording, I'm celebrating 14 years in podcasting. And podcasting's not even that old. It's probably about 17 years old, maybe 16 years old. Yeah, I've been on the mic a minute, but it's been a hobby for me. It's been a lifelong passion. I've always wanted to be a radio guy. So when podcasting came out, I just jumped on it. And if you've been following me a while, you know I've talked about just about everything in these 14 years. But one of the things I haven't spoken about recently, and actually went a little quiet for the last 6 months, I had some family issues. My wife recently retired in 2019 and was creating a whole bunch of jobs for me to do, and, you know, stuff you do when you've been married a while. But then she got sick. She started feeling headaches and weird feelings in her head. And we found out that she had a small lemon-sized tumor in her head, non-cancerous, that had to come out. So we found the best hospital that we could. We live near Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. So the doctor assured us that after 3 or 4 days of recovery, 3 weeks at home, she'll be up and about, resuming her life. Well, that didn't happen. She lost the ability to walk, to talk, to speak, to swallow after the surgery. She spent 30 days in the hospital, and then 30 days in rehab, where she caught pneumonia. And then 30 days at home, where my daughter and I became primary caregivers for the first time in our lives. And then she got sick again. Being fed through her stomach, the tube got dislodged, and found out that she had an infection, so they gave her antibiotics for just about everything. But her fever and her, kind of like her brain, just her cognitive stuff was like off. She wasn't her. Found out she had a fungal meningitis around the tumor removal spot in her head. So they got some new drugs for that, and things started to turn around. She came home for another couple of weeks and then got sick again. And we had an ER to another hospital. And she had pneumonia again. She had 2 blood clots now. And they didn't give her the fungal meningitis medicine because they were treating everything else. And they thought I was just talking out of my butt, I think. But they finally did it about 8 days later. And now she is stable again, but definitely damaged from all the long-term struggle. And they're talking about long-term care at a facility now. Because even though I want to, I'm unable to take care of her with all the new things that's happening. And since she cannot talk, walk, or do anything for herself, my life has changed. One nurse even gave me a timeline of when she might transition. And my son and my daughter and I are all trying to handle it, us, and our jobs respectively. I've had my good days and my bad days. Cried the most I've ever cried in my life. Struggled with so many things. Wasn't ready to be here yet. It's weird being the same age as old people. But in my 14 years of podcasting and my 30-some years of being a gun rights activist and a person kind of sub-famous, I've managed to get a lot of friends. And one dude actually started a GoFundMe, which I wasn't a big fan of in the beginning, but I have used it already a couple of times, several times actually. So that was like a really cool thing. Thank you, Nick. And in the beginning, I was sharing a lot of it on Facebook, but then my daughter was hurt by every time she saw a post. She said, "Mom is really private and you're putting all our business out there." It took a while for all of us to realize that you don't want to be private when you're going through something like this. So since then, we're growing. For those who have been following Speak Life Church podcast, I've been sharing the most stuff, almost a weekly update. My other podcasts have taken a hit for it because I haven't podcasted anything. But I hope you understand.
Work here is done. I'm needed elsewhere now. I'm needed wherever outlaws rule the West, wherever innocent women and children are afraid to walk the streets, wherever a man cannot live in simple dignity, and wherever a people cry out for justice. All right, you caught me. Speak the plain truth. It's getting pretty damn dull around here.
All right, my friends, that's it for this week. I want to thank you for listening, downloading, and subscribing to your favorite righteous podcast, Indian Motorcycle Radio. Now may the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon you. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of his hand. Kickstands up. Let's ride.